Welcome to the Lifestyle Builders Podcast, Show 10. In our last episode, we talked all about finding your freedom number. Today, we're sharing our essential tools list, the top tools we use to run our businesses and life. Welcome to the Lifestyle Builders Podcast, where we bring you real-life strategies on starting and growing a business and finding financial freedom without sacrificing the life you have with your loved ones. We are your hosts, Tom and Ariana Sylvester, and we are married, we're parents, and we're serial entrepreneurs. This podcast is for those who want more out of life. We'll show you how to take the vision you have and create the business that will help you achieve it. Join us as we share practical steps, real-life stories, and help you become a lifestyle builder. All right, so we're talking all things tools today.
Love me some tools.
You do love you some tools. You do.
Speaking of tools, I just got a brand new phone.
Oh, yeah, you and the phone. Like a kid on Christmas.
But, this phone can do, everything. I feel like I'm going to be dependent on it because it, it really can get me out of, any situation I need.
I don't know about that. I think you are thinking a little bit of something else, like maybe your obsession with MacGyver.
I love MacGyver.
Can get you out of any situation.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, seriously, I'm like, Google, tell me how to do this, and it does. Google, I need gas. Here it is. Google, give me a massage. Perfect.
The 2018 version of MacGyver in your pocket. Tom's new phone.
But seriously, used to love MacGyver, and part of that was because he had that ingenuity. It was like, I got a problem, I'm in a situation, let me see, what I can kind of rig together to make it work.
I'm just waiting for you to introduce our daughter to that show. I know it's not far off.
Oh, she'll love it too.
She's going to love it. She's going to be obsessed with it. Thanks in advance, Daddy.
But you know what? But here's the thing with MacGyver. So MacGyver never had any fancy stuff, right? So he kind of we're entrepreneurs. He bootstrapped.
He did. He was like the king of bootstrapping.
That's what I'm saying. And that's a big thing that we preach with a lot of people. It's like, look, you don't need the fanciest tools. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars on things. But usually if you understand what you're doing, you can take some of these tools, rig them together, and do some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think the nice thing too is when we're talking about tools in the sense of the software that we use, a lot of them are now made to integrate nicely with each other. So they play nice with each other already. So you don't even have to do a lot of rigging. Most of them are made to work well. They work well with others.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
So our first tool is one we literally could not live without. And that tool is Dropbox.
Yes.
We have been Dropbox users for years now. And I don't know, I feel like it's just ingrained into our life. I don't know what we would do without it. And I'm not just talking business. It does give us a lot of capabilities in all the different businesses, but that's where we store all of our family pictures and everything. Everything is in Dropbox.
Well, I was gonna say, so for people that, most people know Dropbox these days, but if you don't, essentially it's a a cloud storage platform. And so basically you use it on your computer just like you would any folder, but it syncs everything to the cloud. It makes a backup of it on Dropbox.com. And so, like you said, our pictures, our business files, everything we need is there. And I think one of the coolest things about Dropbox is you can access it anywhere.
Yep.
So you can access it on your smartphone. We have our wine and liquor store. We're not physically at the store, but we have Dropbox hooked up to our scanner there. Yep. So, our employees can scan stuff
and you can sign in on any browser anywhere at any time. You just need your password and your username.
Yeah.
So even if you're traveling or if you move across country and you don't have your stuff with you, you just sign in and you have access to everything.
And what's cool with that, and a lot of these software that we'll talk about today, they have a free option and then they have a paid option. Mm-hmm. So we use Dropbox with the free option. I think you get 2 gigs for free.
Yeah, we used it for a long time.
So we used it for free for a long time. And then once we had more pictures, more of our business stuff in there, we ended up upgrading. But still, it's only $100 a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they have different options now. They've changed it up a little bit since we started.
Yeah.
But it's really affordable for having backups of literally all your stuff.
I was gonna say, speaking of backups, like if you guys don't have your stuff backed up, that's one of the things that you need to do right now. I know we're not to the homework yet, but I mean, like, I can't tell you, backup is always like the last thing most people think about. But I mean, if you're running your business and you run into issues and you don't have a backup, like, you're gonna be in trouble.
Well, and that's one of the things I love about Dropbox is when there was a time where we got a really nasty virus on like an old laptop and it infected everything. Well, Dropbox allows you to restore old versions of things.
Yeah, basically.
So we were able to go in and save all of our stuff by restoring the old versions after we'd gotten rid of the virus.
Yeah, this virus basically held us ransom. It said it encrypted all of our files, and it said you had to pay a certain amount in Bitcoin. This was like years ago before Bitcoin was big. It was very like, black market type stuff. And there was no guarantee that even if we paid that they would give it to us. But because we had everything backed up, we could then go back to those previous versions.
Yep. Yeah, that saved our butts.
Absolutely.
It would have been so bad if we didn't have that. So, obviously, we've gushed about Dropbox quite a bit. We'll put a link on the show notes page if you're interested in checking out Dropbox. But we're going to step along to our next favorite tool, which, again, I'm probably going to say this multiple times.
I was going to say...
is another one that I don't know we could live without, which is Evernote. We're actually using Evernote right now.
I was going to say, yes, we are using Evernote.
We use it for everything.
So Evernote is like a virtual notebook.
Yep.
So I used to have Post-it notes, and I still do. Like,
we still have Post-it notes.
I know.
And notes.
But I mean, even notes, but it's a virtual notebook where you can basically create different notebooks, and then you can create notes within them.
Yep.
And that's cool in itself, just because you don't have paper everywhere. But outside of that, you can tag things, you can organize things, you can take screenshots on the internet, you can take websites that you find.
Screenshot. You can screenshot anything.
Yeah.
And it saves it automatically in Evernote.
Yeah, and so you can look at this as basically a repository for storing everything. So I'll come across maybe an article or a blog post that I want to reference later on, but I don't need it now. So I'll just clip it into Evernote, and then I'll tag it like marketing.
Yep.
And then later on, when I'm going to do a marketing post or I'm doing some research, I'll first go to, hey, what have I collected over the years on this topic? And usually I've got stuff in Evernote.
Well, and you're talking about the free widget that they have, which is the clipper.
Yeah.
So anytime you're on the internet, you can clip anything. So if it's a PDF, it saves the PDF. If it's a picture, it'll take a screenshot.
Yep.
But they also have a really cool app on your smartphone where you can open Evernote and take a picture of your notes, like your handwritten notes, and it'll save it as a note in Evernote.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's genius.
Yeah.
Because I write things all over, and then I'm like, oh, shoot, I should probably scan that into the computer. Who has time to go to the printer and scan it in? I just take a shot with my Evernote app on my phone, and it automatically uploads it and saves it as a note.
Well, I was going to say, so another thing is you can also record voice into it.
That one I love.
So I haven't done this as much lately, but when I was working and I had a commute, I'd get so many ideas and thoughts, and I just hit the mic, I'd start recording my thoughts, and it saves it as a voice note into Evernote, which once again, you can then tag and it's searchable. So I know we'll use some of that stuff years later, because it's basically like journaling.
Yeah, it is kind of like journaling. And Evernote, again, has both a free version and a paid version. The free version, I think you are allowed to sync 2 devices.
Yep.
If it's more than that, then you have to upgrade to the paid version, but it's still not that expensive. I think it's, $36 a year?
Yeah, let's say a couple bucks a month.
I don't know. It's like $6
But just
a month.
like Dropbox, having it available on all your devices means no matter where you are, you can run your business, you can get access to all your key files.
If you're one of those people that has a million ideas and is afraid that they're going to forget one of them, Evernote is for you.
Absolutely.
Because you can literally just, that was a great idea. Open up the app on your phone, record it, or type it in. If you're out somewhere with your laptop, I got another great idea. You open up Evernote, put it in there. Actually, I think I just have Evernote open all the time.
I was going to say, it's probably one of the apps that's just about always open.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to introduce our next one because it is my tool.
It is your tool.
And that's Trello. So you've probably heard about this. If you haven't, essentially it's a visual way to organize all your to-dos and to be able to kind of map out your process for how you manage everything.
Yep.
And so I say that, but there's really so many things that you can do with this tool.
There's a lot. There's so much you can do.
Well, I was going to say, so my background is in software development, and one of the things we did when we would manage projects was we would use this concept called Agile or Scrum. And at the summary of it was basically you have Post-it notes, and you have them go through a set of states. So the things I have to do, the things things I'm doing and the things that I'm done with. And we would literally put Post-it notes on the wall and have people move them across. I know I brought this home, right?
You brought it home with you.
But so Trello is essentially the electronic version of that. So you'll actually create like note cards. Yeah. You can put a whole bunch of information in there, and then you can set up boards. So, I mean, we have boards for our 90-day goals, for our weekly sprint, for our content calendar, managing our podcast schedule.
Yep.
Like, we have boards for everything.
Well, and Trello is one of those tools that I was referring to when I said a lot of the tools integrate well and play nice together. Mm-hmm. Trello integrates with just about anything.
Yeah.
Now, the caveat is if you have the free version, you're only allowed to do, I think, like one or two integrations. You're limited to your integrations. Yep. But if you have the paid version, Trello Gold, which again I don't think is that expensive if you pay for the year.
Couple bucks a month, I think.
I think it's like I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Should know that. I don't know that.
Well, but to your point, we pay for a lot of these. Like when we start using some of these tools, we pay for them for the year because we know we're going to use them. And usually you'll save like 2 months if you do it that way.
Yeah. But anyways, Trello integrates with Evernote. So if you have something that you need to do and it refers to a note or something that you have in Evernote, you can actually link to that note directly. So that way, if you're doing stuff and you don't want to lose track of everything, or if you have team members that you're working with, you can actually have teams on Trello. Everyone can access all the cards on each board, but then if you link to certain things, that allows those people to see those relevant notes along with it. You can also have pictures on there.
Yeah.
So many things you can do. You have checklists on a card. So if you have a main task and then it has broken out tasks below it, you can have that. There's other apps that integrate with Trello, like Butler, which will automate some things on your lists and your boards. It's
you can put labels on things. So we label, like one of our board, it labels all of our tasks by business. On another one, like we track all the conferences we're going to and the ones we've submitted to. So it's like, hey, we're definitely going to this conference and we've submitted to be a speaker. Or, hey, I don't know if we're going to go to this conference. But so, like, there's just so many ways to use it once you get in there.
Yep. And so many people, you can actually share templates with other people on Trello. So a lot of people out there have shared free templates that they like, oh, here's my content calendar that I use on Trello. And they've shared that out. So that's a free template that you can download and then use yourself. So that's the nice thing, too, is as you go around, there's a ton of people using Trello. If somebody's got a board layout that you like, you could be like, hey, can you share that template with me? And then you can use it in your own Trello board.
Well, I was gonna say that's one of the things we do with our lifestyle builders a lot is we'll have a template and they're like, ooh, I want that, and we'll just share it out.
Yeah.
The one other thing I was going to say with this is cool is once you start developing your SOPs, your standard operating procedures, one of the cool things you can do is put them in Trello. And like you said, there's checklists you can do on them.
Yep.
So what we'll do in a lot of cases is we'll make a card, we'll put the checklist, and then when somebody's got to do that activity, we'll just copy it, and then we can check the boxes off as we complete the different pieces of it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can't tell, we love Trello too. We love all of our tools.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to the next, which is kind of a family of tools, I guess you could say, which is Google Everything.
Google Everything.
Google Calendar. Oh my goodness, I don't know what we do without it.
We live with Google Calendar.
I'm saying it again. Google Mail, Gmail. Oh. We've used Gmail for, I think, as long as we've known each other.
All of our email comes into there. So we have multiple email addresses.
But
they're all in one inbox.
They are all forwarded to one inbox.
And we've got labels. We've got filters and automation.
What are they called? The multiple inboxes.
Multiple inboxes to separate them out.
Yeah, Gmail. Oh, that's amazing. And we also have been using Google Drive a lot more lately as well. I mean, we love Dropbox. We'll never, ever get rid of Dropbox. But Google Drive allows us to do some different things. Now that we've got some templates and things that we're sharing out with our lifestyle builders, we wanted to have that as accessible as possible. And not everyone has, Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. So when you share something via Dropbox, it gets confused when you have to translate it to another program. Whereas Google Drive, as long as somebody has Google, a Gmail address or whatever, they can access that file.
Well, and so the way we've been using it is Dropbox is more of our long-term, I won't say long-term, but file storage for stuff that we're not going to collaborate on. But in Google Drive and Google Docs, what's cool is that multiple people can be changing the same file at the same time.
Yep.
So we could both have like a file up and you could be typing in one section, I'm typing in the other, and we see it real time.
Yeah, it gives you little colors.
Yeah.
And tells you who's there, who's editing the same document.
Another cool thing, so I just went to a conference, and on the plane you can actually use Google Drive offline. So the book that we're working on, I was actually working on parts of it on the plane, and then when I got connected back to the internet, then it synced back up to the cloud.
Nice.
So in that way, you're not worried about losing, your files, and you can keep everything there and just kind of work in that one space.
Ooh, one thing we forgot to mention with Calendar, Google just made an update to their calendar, which is amazing.
The new interface is much better.
Yeah, their new interface is so much better, and they give you this option in the settings to show multiple time zones on the side. It's like your world clock or whatever.
Yep.
So you can actually choose which time zones you want it to show, and at any time during the day you sign into Calendar, it'll show you all those time zones and what time it is there.
I was gonna say, we have,
for everyone out there who is scheduling meetings and coffee chats and whatever virtually with other people online, they may be in another part of the world, and one of the most confusing things is trying to figure out time zones.
Well, I was going to say, so we're East Coast.
We're East Coast.
The conference that I was at was in West Coast,
Yep.
Pacific time. And then some of the meetings that I had scheduled last week were in Central and Mountain. So I'm in East Coast trying to schedule time with people in other time zones, and I'm going to be in West Coast. And it was nice because when I had my calendar, it was like, oh, here's what it is. Like, it's just so simple.
So simple.
And now with my new phone.
Google.
And now with my new phone.
With your new phone.
So for anyone that's curious, I just got the Google Pixel 2 XL. And so part of the reason that I actually went with that phone is because we use Google for everything, and it integrates natively with this, obviously, because Google made the phone.
Yep.
But I'm really excited now, because we use Google for all this stuff, just like to see, like, what more can I do with all this? How can I MacGyver this up?
How can I MacGyver this up? All right. Next tool. Awesome little tool that is like key for automation. Zapier.
Yep. I don't even know how to say it. Is it
Zapier?
Zapier?
Zapier. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't care. It's awesome. Anyone who is looking to automate some simple things and even some more complex things,
Yep.
Zapier, we're going to go with Zapier, is the tool. It lets you sign in, and then it lets you look up all of the softwares that it can integrate.
All the tools we're mentioning today.
All the tools we're mentioning today, basically. And it'll say, okay, you can say, I want this. Whenever someone fills out a survey on my type form, I want it to automatically transfer those answers into a Google Sheet.
Yep.
That I have set up in my Drive. So then anytime someone fills that out, you now see those in your Google Sheet. But the nice thing about Zapier is it has these simple zaps where it's like one step. You also have the ability to make very complex zaps, which I don't usually touch those. I let Tom do the complex zaps.
Yep.
But he just like loves to dive in and be like, oh, I can make this do this, and then I can make this do this, and then it'll come over here. And I'm like, okay.
Well, I was gonna say, let's walk through a quick example. So our real estate business, we have tenants that are gonna submit applications. So we built an application using Google Forms, so they fill out their information online. Then we have a Zap, so that once they fill that out, it then creates a card in Trello that says, hey, a new tenant just submitted a form. It pulls out some of the key information, and then it creates a checklist of steps that we've got to go through to then screen that tenant, puts it on the Trello board, and notifies us.
And then you also have it go into a Google Sheet, right?
Yep. So Google Forms will automatically save it to the Google Sheet. So then we have all of that information, and then we'll actually connect that when we create the Trello card, we'll tie that back to our screening process. So whoever's doing the tenant screening can click, here's our process, check off the boxes when they go through, move it across the board, and we're done. Like,
sounds so simple.
It's beautiful though. Like, what happens to a lot of people is they get caught up in all these like mundane tasks. And once you have your tasks laid out, Zapier will really then allow you to automate a lot of those things and free up your time.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the zaps that I love is the ability to have, you have names and emails added into a Google Sheet that will automatically add into your email autoresponder.
Absolutely.
So we now have in our free Facebook group, we have people have the option to leave their email if they want a free download. And instead of having people have to manually go and add every single email of the person that says, yes, I want this free download, we have the Zap set up where they just have to copy, paste the name and the email into the Google Sheet, and it automatically adds them to the email list for us.
Yeah, and so my background is actually in software development, so I used to like program all these things, and you had to know how to code, and how to use APIs and all this stuff. But what's cool about Zapier and some of the other tools like it is it takes a lot of the coding away, and it's literally click. Like they guide you through, okay, when this happens, what do you want to happen? Here's the fields that you have information for. So it's really cool, and really something that people should look at if they really want to increase their efficiency.
Yeah, I love it. And again, they have a free version. I believe it allows you 5 zaps.
Yep.
And then they have a paid version. Which I think is $20 a month. They might have.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's not bad, especially for the amount of time it's gonna save you once you kind of implement some of these things.
True. All right, next tool. This one we've gone on about before, I know, but we're bringing it back. We love WordPress with the addition of the Divi theme.
All right, so let's jump in quick. So your business should have a website. It's not the first thing that you necessarily need to do. You should probably grab your domain name if you know the name, but you don't necessarily need to set it up and go crazy right away. But a lot of people will get themselves into a platform like Wix or Weebly where it sounds good. It's like they have a builder, it's cheap, but it kind of locks you into just that platform, and you don't have flexibility to have it grow as your business grows. Yeah. WordPress is a content management system that I think like 70% of the internet uses. It's free to use. You can set it up with like hosting on like a site like SiteGround, which is what we use. And you pay like a couple dollars a month. It's not that expensive. But then what it allows you to do is to use themes, like Divi's the theme we use. That makes it very easy for you to build your own website. It allows you to pull plugins in to do different things.
And most of the plugins are free.
Most of them are free. Yeah, some you can pay for. But for very low cost, especially if you're just getting started up, you can build a website. Like Divi is a visual builder where you can like say,
I love the visual
I want it to kind of look this way. Here's a text all the way across the screen. Here's a half and half.
You can tell that
I'm going to put a picture
different
here.
Personalities because you prefer the back end of the website builder, and I prefer the visual
You can
builder.
tell I'm the tech guy, right? But what's cool is on the visual builder, they actually put something out there called a wireframe. And the way that I always design things was I kind of had the overall layout first, and then I would go fill the details in. So now I can do the wireframe on the front end. And if anyone's a designer, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Blah,
and then
blah, blah, blah.
And then I can shift over and fill in the details. So, I mean, we've been using that. I've been creating some of these epic blog posts of like 10,000 words. And I did the whole thing in Divi, and I was able to make the site like with sidebars and different like sections, like obviously cool stuff.
Cool stuff. As Tom says, cool stuff.
But yeah, I mean, so out of all the website options out there, we use and recommend WordPress for all our sites. Divi you can get for like $80 a year, or I think it's like 200 or something for a lifetime. Yep. And we use that on all of our websites.
Yeah. All three of them? 4 of them?
4 of them. I don't know. We got some old ones hanging out there.
Got some old ones.
But yeah, I remember so years ago, before we used WordPress and Divi, we would use a different tool called like Joomla.
Oh God,
and you hated it.
I hated that.
And once we switched over, like I remember you were jumping in.
One thing in there, like one.
Yeah.
And that's all I could do.
But we switched over, and I remember like you were hopping in, like I didn't even show you stuff, and you were figuring it out. So
it's very user friendly.
And what's really cool too, because eventually as your business grows, you're probably going to want to outsource some of your website stuff, but you can add other people in to help you with that. And then most professional designers are building on top of WordPress. Yep. So you've already got the foundation laid for then a professional designer to come in and really revamp your website.
Yep. And then we've got, so we talked about this a little bit before when we talked about the Zaps, an email autoresponder. So a lot of people out there talk about wanting to build your email list and make sure that you have a way to connect with your audience that you own. And we, for a long time now, I think we switched a while ago.
A couple of years.
Have been using ConvertKit, and we love it.
Yep.
They've just recently made some updates to make it even more user-friendly when you're going through and setting up your emails, like to say, when people come onto my email list, I want them to get these 3 emails, and then based on actions they take, I want them to go over here and do this. And it's just really, it's a very simple, I think, back end to get used to using.
Yeah. And so, as a business owner, you want to be able to contact your customers. And, I think just about everything we talk about here can apply to an online business as well as an offline business. So having somebody's email means that you can reach out to them. You can give them value. You can let them know when you have promotions going on. So one of the key things is making sure you have a system to, one, be able to capture those, but then two, if you haven't used an email service before, you can set up automated emails so that when somebody comes in, they get a certain set of emails on a certain schedule. Plus you can then blast emails out. And what I really liked about ConvertKit compared to some of the other ones that we used is it's just very simple to learn and use, where some of these other ones are very powerful, but it's more than most people need.
Yeah. Well, and it takes longer for you to learn to use it correctly. So you get caught up in things that you shouldn't really need to be worrying about. Whereas ConvertKit, you can literally just jump in and get started and set up a basic email sequence. It allows you to send broadcasts. I love the capabilities it has with the tagging and some of that stuff.
Well, I was going to say, and so we were talking about automation before, and that's a huge thing in there too. So if you can like tag and do different things based on what people do. So if somebody clicks a link, you can tag them, say, hey, they clicked this link, and then you can just send emails to groups of people that just click that link.
Yep.
So there's a lot of power within there. And probably one of my favorite things is the price on it. Yeah. So if you have under 1,000 people on your email list, it's only $29 a month. So if you go into some of these other email systems, you may be spending like hundreds of thousands, whereas this is low cost. And then as your business grows, as your email list grows, then you pay more for the extra levels.
Yep. Yeah, and we looked at quite a few back before we switched. And I just remember we were between two, and we ended up with ConvertKit, and I've been very happy with it ever since for years. So obviously,
and whenever you switch tools, one of the big questions is like, how easy is it going to be to switch? And I remember that was one of my concerns with this, but it was like I exported our emails from the old tool, I imported them into ConvertKit, and it was probably one of like the most seamless switchings that we've had. There's some other tools where you switch, like it takes a long time to like take everything out and then reset it up, and that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah.
And so ConvertKit, I think, has like a 30-day free trial.
I believe they do.
Yeah. So that's cool too, especially with a lot of these tools to be able to try it out before you end up buying it.
Yeah. And then speaking of free trials, our next tool has a free trial as well. It's only 14 days, but totally worth it. We are huge fans of ClickFunnels. So we use ClickFunnels for our landing pages, which those of you that don't know, if you've got a free resource you want people to be able to download, a lot of times you create a landing page for that where people put their email address in and click, yes, I want this. Yep. But the nice thing about ClickFunnels is it has the sales funnel built right in. So you don't have to go in and create a page over here and then a page over here and tell the first page to connect to the second page, and then depending on what they do to connect to this page or this page, and in essence build your own sales funnel. ClickFunnels is meant to build sales funnels. So they have all these set up templates for you. They have pre-set up pages for you, and you literally go in and say, all right, I want to build a new funnel. I want this kind of page, this kind of page, this kind of page, and you can go and set those up. And then it has a drag and drop builder, which of course, based on my love of Divi, means I also love in ClickFunnels. So you can make it look however you want it to look. You can put in your own branding colors, your own fonts, everything, so that it looks like your page. And they even have the domain. So you can use your own domain in ClickFunnels so that when people are on your page, it doesn't say so-and-so.clickfunnels.com. It says tomandariana.com. Yeah. So I love the ability ClickFunnels gives you to go in and create things quickly without spending a lot of time.
Well, and even like you said before, you can actually share, like if somebody has built their funnel or their set of pages out, they can actually share that and you can import it in. A couple other things too. So you can totally create this type of stuff without buying a tool like ClickFunnels. So like for a lot of people getting started, we'll have them use like Divi if they already have it. Because all you're basically doing, like you said, is making pages and connecting them. But what ClickFunnels does is it makes it so much easier.
It's time saver.
You pay a little bit more money, but it saves a lot of time. And then, I mean, what they've done over the last year is really up the analytics. So you can see like how many people are getting to each step in your funnel, right? You can see like how many sales you're making. And then probably one of my favorite things was actually how easy it made it for people to buy.
Yep.
So I remember we would set up some stuff before and we'd like send them to PayPal, but then PayPal would send them to a different page and then they would have to log in. And when you're working on getting people to buy your stuff, you want to make it as simple as possible. And once we switched to ClickFunnels, it was a very quick integration with Stripe, which is what we use to process our payments. And it was like, yeah, I want this. I fill out a little bit of information. I click buy, and people have it.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of big benefits to that. And what's kind of cool too is Russell Brunson, who created ClickFunnels, actually wrote a couple of books. And if you're new to kind of selling and how to position yourself, these 2 books, I mean, actually,
That was actually my first business book.
I was going to say, that was actually the first book you read, right?
Yep,
.com Secrets. It really just kind of walks you through a lot of this stuff into what sales funnels are, what a value ladder is, how to really understand your customers and kind of work them through that. So there's some cool supporting books that you can then read as well.
Yeah.
And then this software is obviously set up to support what the books introduce you to.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, I mean, I love the software, but we'll tell you, we used to have the higher version of ClickFunnels. We ended up figuring out we didn't really need that. You know, they have 2 payment tiers, and we had upgraded because we were doing all this stuff, and we're like, oh, this is awesome. We get all this extra stuff. And we actually, when we did a tools audit, figured out that we didn't need that higher tier. So we ended up dropping back down to the lower tier, and that's working just fine for us. So don't feel like just because people mention tools and there are other people out there using them that you need to go and buy them. It's really, is this the right tool for you right now?
Yeah, and so with this, ClickFunnels, the basic version is $97 a month. The upgraded version is like $300 a month. And some people may say, you know, that's pretty expensive. But if you have a converting product that you're selling, the time that a tool like this is going to save you is pretty big. If you don't yet have a product or you haven't been able to make sales, you probably don't want to go and spend on a tool like this yet until you nail it and you start making some of those sales, because then this tool is going to save you a lot of time.
Yep.
The other thing too with this tool and even some of the other ones we're mentioning today, a lot of these tools have affiliate programs.
Yep.
And so what that means is if somebody likes the tool, they can recommend it to other people. If somebody buys the tool through their link, they'll get an affiliate commission. Now, that doesn't increase the price that you pay at all for the tools, but we just want to throw that out there because you may hear a lot of people like promoting ClickFunnels. A lot of the reason for that is because they get an affiliate off of it.
Yeah, we're one of them. We have an affiliate.
Yeah, if you guys want to use ClickFunnels, it's the right thing for you. You can go through our link and we'll get an affiliate commission. But that's not the core reason that we're telling you guys about these tools.
Yeah, there's a lot of tools that have affiliates. I mean, pretty much every tool on the market,
most of them do,
has an affiliate. There's a few that I know of that don't, but it's a very minority.
But we still recommend tools that don't have affiliates, right? We'll tell you guys all the tools we use, and you know the key thing I think with that is you figure out the tools that you need for your business.
Yep.
And most of these either have a free tier or a free trial so that you can test it and say, is this really what I need? Or, you know, maybe it's not the right tool for me at this time.
Yep. All right. Moving on to a tool that not everyone is going to like this suggestion, but I know one person in particular who's going to like it. We are huge fans of QuickBooks. So all of you out there, if you're just getting started in business, maybe a software application for your bookkeeping, your basic accounts for your business, you may not need this when you first get started, depending on how much business you're doing. But it is so, so important to have a bookkeeping software as you grow and make sure that you're keeping everything separate between your business and your personal life, and that you're keeping a good account of your business and the money that's coming in and going out. So the easiest way to do that is to have an accounting software. And there's a lot of accounting software that's online these days.
Yep.
But we are still huge fans of QuickBooks desktop version, mainly because we own multiple businesses. So it actually saves us money to buy the desktop version rather than to pay for each business account online.
Yep.
But it also gives us a ton more capabilities. We love the reporting options that we can create custom reports in our own QuickBooks. So we can say, I want to see this, this, and this, and over this amount of time, and we can create and save that custom report. Whereas I know the online accounting softwares don't necessarily give you that customization.
Yep. So, I mean, and a big part of it too is that's what our CPA used.
Yes.
And just about every CPA is going to use QuickBooks. So if you use that, you're automatically going to have a higher opportunity to work with different CPAs. But one of the big things we always recommend is find a CPA that works, for you, and then see what software they recommend. If we're going to start a new business from scratch, we might go with one of the online options, but once again, with all of these tools, it's figuring out, like, what do you need, what works for you, and then picking that right tool that's going to work for you.
Yeah. And I will forewarn you, QuickBooks has a very large learning curve.
Yeah.
So it's taken me years of, working with our CPA and doing some self-taught learning on my own online of, okay, how do I use QuickBooks? What are the ins and outs of this software? So if you are not a numbers or techie person, I would not suggest QuickBooks for you just because it is such a high learning curve.
Yeah, I was going to say, so two things. One, we've used QuickBooks for a while, but bookkeeping is not something that you should actually be doing. It's
Correct.
Probably one of the early things you want to outsource, and we're finally outsourcing it this year. But once again, if you outsource, it's more likely that a bookkeeper is going to be using QuickBooks. Some of them might be using the online things, but check back with them. And two, this is, probably such a boring topic for a lot of people, but make sure that you guys aren't skipping over this step, because we run across so many business owners that just don't manage the books. They're afraid of the numbers. And then as a result, they end up getting into a lot of trouble later on. And it ends up making it a lot more difficult for them to run their business because they don't know the numbers.
I feel like this is going to be the longest episode ever because there's so many tools.
I know. But you know what? This is good, though, because even finding one tool that saves you a little bit of time is going to make a big difference.
Well, and this next one does just that.
Perfect.
It's one that we have updated to using, I think it was like last year, a year before.
Yeah.
A password saving tool.
Manager.
Password manager. There's an official term. LastPass.
Yeah. And so I can't even tell you how many accounts we have today.
I don't know.
Personal accounts, business accounts, and, security is a big thing. And what tends to happen, what a lot of people do, like, I'll pick on my mom. Hopefully she's not listening to this.
She probably will.
Like, she just got a new phone and she didn't know her password because it was like written down on a Post-it note in her office.
Yep.
Right? So she couldn't even do some of the things she needed to do because she didn't have her password with her. And what a lot of people will do is they'll use the same password for multiple accounts. And I mean, with online banking, with email, you don't want to have the same password everywhere. So what a password manager does is you get a master password that only you know, and then it encrypts all of your passwords. And within that, it stores all your passwords, and you can have different passwords for every account.
Yep.
And when you go to log in, like, what's really nice about LastPass and some of these other ones, you can actually log in without ever typing your password. So some of, like, the viruses will actually track what keys you type, and then that's how they steal your password. So if you click a button and you're able to just basically copy it into there, that avoids that option or that issue if you ever have that on your computer.
Yep. Yeah, and LastPass itself is built to have security measures that you can set in your LastPass account. So if you need higher security than someone else who's using LastPass, you can go in and set that setting to be a higher security setting, which is nice as well.
And one of the coolest things about LastPass compared to, like, some of the other tools we used in the past, you can actually share your passwords and let other people log in to your account without them ever seeing your password. So, for example, if you hire an assistant or you have a VA or you have someone maybe working on your website, you can give them access, and then let's say they're done with the job or maybe something's going wrong, you can revoke their access and they'll never be able to get back in.
Yep.
Now, the thing I'll say with this, there's always a decision on, do I use a password manager or not? There's pros and cons. The pro is that all your passwords are secure and they can be changed and all different. One of the cons and the big vulnerability is you have a single password that basically is the key to get into there. So if anyone ever found out your main password, they would basically have access to everything. Or if you ever lost that main password, you'd be locked out. So, if you're not using a password manager now, you may want to do a little bit of research, but we highly recommend it and we use it, and it's how we keep everything organized.
Yes. We used to use an older one that was on the computer in KeyPass.
Yep.
And I liked KeyPass.
And KeyPass is great.
It is.
But it's not as flexible.
LastPass is so much faster because I don't have to open a separate application to, like, copy my password and paste it in.
Yeah, well, and even same type of thing. So now this is on our phones, this is everywhere else. So I can be on my phone, I go to log into, say, mobile banking, I'm not typing my password, right? So if someone's peering, like if I'm somewhere in public and someone's looking, they can't see my password, right? So a lot of benefits to LastPass.
All right, next we've got Zoom.
Zoom.
Love Zoom.
You know, I worked in, so Zoom is basically a video conferencing platform. And
So kind of like Skype.
kind of like Skype, kind of like GoToWebinar.
Kind of like Google Hangouts.
Google Hangouts. And so I worked in corporate for a long time. And like one of the banes of my existence in corporate was the horrible software they use for like video conferencing or just conference calls. They were always poor quality. They were always so difficult to use. And that's not the case with Zoom at all. Like when you click on like if you set up a meeting with someone, that person clicks on the link and then Zoom's there.
Yep.
You can also have a conference call number that people can call into. And what I've found is the quality on all of that is really high, right? So like we don't get as many dropped calls. The quality of like the video is really good, and it's just easy to use.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very easy to use. It has chat built right in, so if you have multiple people on the Zoom call, they can actually type into the chat box. You have the ability to screen share. So if you're on a call with a bunch of people and you want to show them something, you can hit the screen share button and everyone can see what's on your screen.
Yep.
You have the ability to mute and unmute. So if you just want you to be talking and you're the host of the call, you can mute everyone else. You have that control.
Yep. With some of the upgraded versions, you can actually run a webinar off of it.
Yep. You can go live.
You can stream it live to Facebook. Yep. And so what's cool with this too is that there's a free version that you can use as well.
Yep.
So if you have a team or like, I mean, we use this for coaching calls. We use this for staying in touch with, colleagues and partners. Coffee chats. Yeah. I mean, so like we use Zoom every day.
Pretty much.
In some regard.
In some sense, yes.
I mean, we use it for our lifestyle builders. Like we did a strategy call last night.
We use it when you're at a conference and the kids want to talk to
you. Yeah, we use
you.
it for personal stuff. Absolutely. So yeah, it's such a great platform to use. And with so many people being virtual or remote today, like being able to stay in touch and be face to face. Like I remember there was people I met at the conference last week that I almost had to think about like, have we met in person before or have we just been connected online? Because we've had calls and we felt like we knew each other even though we had never actually met in person. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking of calls and all things scheduling, we love Calendly. We have been Calendly users for a while, and we now have upgraded to the paid version of Calendly because it gives you so many more options, but they do have a free version for those of you that are just getting started. It is a scheduling tool that links with your own calendar. So you can link up your Google Calendar, and you can tell it, I want you to look at these calendars on this list anytime you're scheduling something, and you can't schedule it during those times.
Yep.
So we have all of our personal stuff on there, all of our business stuff, and Calendly will automatically look at those times and say, here's the availability that this person has to schedule. And the nice thing is you can create different time slots for any kind of call you have.
Yep.
So we've got, I think I have like 6 or 7 different kind of calls on the paid account. And I can say, I only want people to be able to book calls for this on Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then I only want people to be able to book calls here for this type of call at night. So it's only 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. or something. And so that way, when you're sharing your link for people to schedule something with you, it's automatically going to check your calendar, and it's only going to offer them what you've told it to offer them. And then you've got the ability to send email reminders, and they can reschedule right from the link that they have. So it's just really nice to be able to have the ability to say, here's my link, schedule in a time with me, and they get to book the time based on what works for them, instead of you having to be like, oh, does Tuesday at 10 a.m. work?
Yeah.
Oh, does Wednesday at 3 p.m. work? And going back and forth and back and forth. It's a time saver.
Well, I was going to say, one of the biggest issues that people come to us with is they need more time.
Mm-hmm.
And like we're big proponents of using your calendar and owning your calendar. And one of the ways you can own it is by not going back and forth with people. Well, how does Tuesday at 9 work? Well, Tuesday at 9 works great. Oh, well, but you're in Pacific time zone and I'm in Eastern time zone. Okay, well, what about 10:30? Nah, I got something there. Like it cuts all of that away. So when I go to meet with somebody now, it's like, hey, grab some time. They go pick the time that I've preset to be available. And guess what? If all those times are done, then they got to wait till next week.
Yep.
Right. And then even like we do a lot of coaching. So before we hire a coaching client in, we'll have them go through a discovery call. We have that set up on our website so that they go through a form and then they can book, and then it just goes onto our calendar.
Yep.
So it cuts and it saves so much time for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It's a nice little tool. It's easy to use. It's very user friendly. And they have great customer support. So.
Yeah, and I think with a lot of these tools, it's important to point out there's other good tools out there too. So these are the ones we use. If you guys are evaluating tools, take a look at the ones we're mentioning, but also check out some of the other options out there, because there's usually 2 or 3 that are good, and some just work better in some situations. Some of the price point might be better, but take our recommendations, but then test them out and see what works for you.
Exactly. All right, we're getting down to the line. I swear we've only got like 3 more tools to
mention. And the worst part is like we probably have like 50 different tools we use.
I don't think I listed them all.
Not even counting like some of the hardware and stuff, but I mean, as you can see, like as you grow your business, you're going to start using different tools for different pieces, but when you start, you don't need all these tools. Like, you want to start very simple.
Yeah. Keep it simple is definitely a good motto.
Keep it simple, stupid.
I know. Kiss. All right, the next one is one everyone's going to love. It's a social media scheduler. Now, we used to use Meet Edgar, which had like a recurring post option, and you could put a certain number of posts in, and then it would just keep posting on the day and time that you said over and over and over. But we were paying, I think it was something crazy, like $50 a month or something. Yep. So when we did a tools audit, we were like, do we really need this tool? Is there something else out there that can do what we want it to do without having to pay $50 a month? And we actually came across Recurpost, which is just a really simple and easy to use social media scheduler. They just got the ability to schedule on Instagram. They have the ability to pull in RSS feeds, and then you can approve those posts based on if you want them to go out on your posts or not, which is really nice. And they have the ability to enter recurring posts. So if you've got like a Facebook group and you have theme days, that's what we have. You can put in, here's my theme days, and these should post every Monday at 9 a.m. And it'll cycle through whatever posts you have in that particular library. So if you have, I'm going to do a different post every Monday, every month. So then you've got it, it'll cycle through. You just post them in. I've got 4 posts in my Monday folder. It'll post through all 4 posts, and it'll keep going after that.
Yep.
So I really like the simplicity of it, and it has a free account where you can have, I think you can connect up to 3 social media accounts on the free version. And then if you pay, it's like $25 a month, and you get up to 10 accounts. So whether you're your own business owner and you're scheduling your own stuff, or if you're somebody who's doing some VA work or social media managing work for somebody, you could easily grab this tool and be able to schedule out all those posts.
Well, I was going to say, and social media can be a huge time suck. A lot of people say that they're quote unquote working when they're actually just like playing on social media. So one of the things you want to do with social media is be able to, really use your time effectively. And part of doing that is automating. Now, that doesn't mean you automate everything, but you want to automate some of your shares and some of the things that you shouldn't be doing, so that when you're on social media, you can actually be engaging with people.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a replacement for you, but it's a supplement.
Yeah. It's a supplement.
All
right, next, moving on, we've got Canva.
Oh man, this is such a cool tool.
I love Canva.
Yeah. So Canva is like an image editing software, but it's all online.
Yeah, so think like Photoshop, but for beginner to intermediate level and online, with an entire library of stuff that you can just
I remember years ago, like I was trying to learn Photoshop, and it's kind of like QuickBooks. Like it's a very powerful tool, but a huge learning curve. And so anytime, like, and graphics are huge, right? Like any social media you're on your website, and it was always so hard to be able to try to make graphics.
Yep.
When Canva came out, it's online, it's free, and they have a whole bunch of templates, and probably one of the coolest things is they have like pre-built designs.
Yep.
So they have fonts that go together. They have pre-built themes that you can tweak and adjust. So like you don't have to know a lot about design to make these beautiful graphics.
Well, and you can upload your own photos. So you can quickly go in and say, okay, I want this photo of me, but then I want to change the filter on it and I want to put some words across it.
Yep.
And bam, you're done. You download it. And you can download it in any file
You
type.
can do that in like a minute.
Yeah, it's fast. And then so that's the free version, but they also have a paid version. And the paid version allows you to upload your own fonts, your own logos, and it allows you to save brand colors.
Save your colors. That's huge.
Based on your business. So we've got our brand colors in there. So every time we create something, we can quickly go and change the color to one of our brand colors. We don't have to type in the hex code every single time. So, I mean, it seems very simple, but it saves you so much time to be able to do that.
Well, and then, so it stores all your images.
Yep.
And then, like, so I know that every year we run certain promotions for, like, our liquor store. So you make, like, these awesome advertisements in there, and they look professional, and it's because you just use, like, a seasonal template.
Yep.
And you just tweak some of the words and put an image in, and you're good. So, like, that's where it's really cool that you can start doing this really for free and low cost. And then eventually, if you outsource this to somebody else, it's easy for them to pick up and use as well.
Yeah, and you can invite team members to your Canva account. So if you have somebody that's working with you, they have access to all your designs and can go in and create stuff, and you can then download it.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much what we use for all of our images.
And then I just wanted to quickly mention, too, another tool for anyone who is a little bit more advanced. We use and love paint.net.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it gives you some of the abilities of like a Photoshop type software, but it's a little bit easier to use. Yes, very lightweight. So say you want to go in and make the background of a logo transparent. I can go in and in like 2 seconds after, I had to mess around with it a little bit at first, but after 2 seconds, quickly go in and make that background transparent and save it as a PNG file, and then I'm on my way. And then I can upload that into Canva and create a beautiful image with it. So I just wanted to mention that because it's easier to change colors in there. It's easier to make transparencies in there, and allows you to make a better quality file too, because you can save it at whatever size and whatever resolution. Whereas Canva, it just downloads based on what you have, and sometimes it can be a little bit tricky.
I was gonna say, so something related to that, when you make images, sometimes the sizes are really big, and if you're gonna be using on your website, you don't want it to slow your loading down. So another tool that we use in conjunction with that is called tinypng.com.
Oh man, you're adding one that I didn't have on the list.
I know, but so with this tool, like once you create these images, you can then go in there, and what it'll do is it'll compress the images down so that they're not as big file size, and that way it's not slowing your website down.
Yes. So. All right. We're going to get to the last tool right now. I swear we're not going to sneak any more in there. And this one is all about payroll. So for those of you that are running a business and you have employees or you pay contractors.
Or you pay yourself.
Gusto is by far one of the simplest, easiest to use payroll. I can't talk anymore. We've been talking for too long. Payroll softwares. And we actually have been using them since they used to be called Zen Payroll.
I was gonna say, we've used them for years.
And they've rebranded now, and they're Gusto, but they've included a lot more things in there. So you can now add like benefits in for your employees. You can do all sorts of crazy cool things. But Gusto is so easy to use, and they're actually really affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's
the base.
It's like $30 base, and then like $6 per person that you have in there. So I mean, we pay $75 a month for our liquor store. Yeah. And most payroll companies, people that will process your payroll for you, are a lot more expensive than that. And it's not as easy. Everything's online. So you can do your entire onboarding with your employees or your contractors online. You literally say, send this person the onboarding, you put their email in, sends them the email, they go in and fill out all their tax forms, they fill out their W-9 or I-9 forms, they have to upload copies of their license and whatever, and Gusto keeps track of all of that. And then they process your payroll tax payments and your employee tax payments for you.
I was going to say, this is the thing that people don't realize is once you start hiring employees or even working with contractors, there's a lot that goes into that. And, the taxes that you're liable for. And what Gusto really does is it really makes a lot of that simple. And
then if you've got contractors at the end of the year, they give you W-2s or 1099s.
1099s, yep.
So it's really nice that their customer service is amazing. The few times that I've had to call them for some kind of issue, they are on it like that, and it's so easy.
Well, I was gonna say, and that's the key thing too. A lot of people just look at price, but you got to look at too, how critical are these things to your business, and customer service should be really up there.
Yep,
So,
and you can give your accountant access to your Gusto account. You can add two-step verification so that it's extra secure and people can't hack your account. I mean, it's a really nice little tool.
Absolutely.
I'm a fan.
You are a fan.
I have been. I can't help it.
I know.
I love all these things.
But I mean, the reason we love all these things is that they make our lives easier.
Yep.
Because as entrepreneurs, as parents, as people that have a lot of stuff going on, anything we can do to save a little bit of time and to make our businesses run more efficiently is going to save, not only in business, but also in our lives.
Yeah. All right. So we threw a lot of tools at you today, like a lot. So don't be... I mean, you can go back and listen to this list. You don't have to listen to it all at once, and it'll be time stamped on the show notes page.
Well, I was going to say.
You can kind of skip ahead.
So how do people find show notes?
People find the show notes at tomandariana.com/10. You're on show 10. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was what your homework's going to be today. And it's actually something that we've done multiple times.
You've actually mentioned it multiple times throughout the show.
I've mentioned it multiple times throughout the show. And that is to do a tools audit. Mm-hmm. So literally write down every single tool that you either use or even just have an account with, and put them all on a list and start walking through, what do those tools do? Do you actually use them? And then are you paying for them? Because one of the things that we've been able to do, as we mentioned, is look at some of the tools that we're paying for and say, we really don't use it for those features, so we don't really need to pay for that version.
Can we downgrade?
Can we swap? Can we get rid of it altogether? Can we swap it out with another tool? So we've mentioned a couple, but we downgraded our ClickFunnels account. We got rid of Meet Edgar and now use Recurpost. And then one that we didn't mention, we used to use LeanKit for our project management to-do list type tasks. And that cost us $400 a year.
And it was awesome.
It was a great tool.
But we weren't using it
But we weren't using it to all of the things that it could do. And we were like, let's just go back to Trello. We always loved Trello, and Trello is free.
Yep.
So those, are 3 of the tools that we saw on a tools audit and said, we really don't need to be paying as much for those.
Well, and so we, like one of our coaching clients, we worked with her. We were kind of reviewing her financials for her business and helping her plan out for the next year. And we had her do this. She ended up saving over $1,000 a month just by getting rid of or swapping out some of the tools she wasn't used. So let me just share that again. So that's increasing how much you're making by $12,000 a year just because you're cutting out the tools that you're no longer using.
Correct.
Right? So, I mean, that's huge. A lot of people focus on, like, how do I make more money? But guess what? If you can keep more of the money that you're bringing in, like, that's another way to do it as well. And this is a simple way to get there.
Yeah. So that's your homework. Do a tools audit.
So my homework is, before you buy your next tool, and even the tools you have now, I want you to map out your process and how you're going to do the things you do regardless of a tool. Because what a lot of people do is that they'll hear somebody talk about a tool and they'll go buy it, and then they don't really know how they're going to use it, or they don't know how it's going to fit into their business. So what we like to do is say, first map out your process and do it manually, and then figure out, okay, what do I need out of a tool? And as you're evaluating your tool, pick the right one that's going to fit into your process.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
All right. What's your book for today? Oh, first I want to mention, I skipped ahead of myself before we get to the bookshelf.
You skipped ahead.
Well, not really.
Usually I'm the one that skips ahead.
Not really. So if you are interested in learning about a lot of these tools, obviously we'll have the show notes page up, but we've actually got a resources page on our website that you can go and check out with, kind of the little blurbs about each of these tools, what they do, what they're for, why we love them, and then just your different options for signing up for them. Yep. So you can go and check out the resources page. Do you know what the link to that is?
I think it's /resources.
Okay, tomandariana.com/resources.
But if not, it's I think it's in our title bar, and you can find it on the show notes page.
We'll put it on the show notes page. What's your book for today? We got the bookshelf action.
Okay, book for today is a book called Traction, and the subtitle is Get a Grip on Your Business. Now, quick funny story about this book. I was at a conference, and I was talking to this older guy. I was basically telling him, like, how we run our business and how we coach people. And he starts kind of laughing, and he's like, oh, so have you read this book called Traction? I'm like, no, I've read a lot of books, but I haven't read that one. And, he laughs a little bit. He goes, go read it and then talk to me in a week. And so I went and read it, and I realized why he was laughing, because essentially what we were talking about is what this book talks about. And it's all about how do you organize your business, to really set up to run more efficiently and to be able to scale. And so the reason I picked the book for this week is we're talking about tools, but before you get to tools, you want to make sure that you got your business organized, you got your processes in place, and this is a great foundation for most people. So it goes through a little bit of like, how do you get your vision? How do you understand your core values? How do you do a weekly check-in? A lot of the stuff that we talk about, but this walks through it in detail. So really good book. If you have a small business, a lot of it might seem like more than what you need. If you have a team or you're starting to grow, this is a critical read for you.
All right. There you have it, right off Tom's bookshelf. It's been another great episode with Tom and Ariana, your hosts and lifestyle builders.
And as always, remember that it's your life, your business, your way. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Are you frustrated by a lack of momentum in your business? Do you want real-time guidance and support from seasoned entrepreneurs who really care about your results? If you're nodding your head, or awkwardly shouting yes in public somewhere, then we invite you to join Lifestyle Builders, a mentorship program designed to meet you where you are and give you strategic and custom guidance so you can build the business you need for the life you crave. You can find out more at joinlifestylebuilders.com.
Your life, your business, your way. Join Family Entrepreneur Life. Join Family Entrepreneur